Pudge, what time is
It's time for the Chubby Guys podcast.
Woo!
You ready?
I think so.
Hey, we're back.
We're back.
All right.
We're here.
Yes, Tyler, he's back. Tyler, how did you cut your grass this week?
Twice.
You know how many messages I've got? Twice. I've gotten so many messages like, hey, I like to cut grass too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You know, you'll
Jimmy
never get that
Jones.
time back, dude.
You can't win. That's a game you cannot win.
Yeah.
And hey, speaking of winners,
Hey, how much money did you make in doing that grass, dude?
None.
Well, you saved yourself $20 probably.
That's right.
I mean, you know,
That's right.
Yeah.
I was mowing in between the rain.
so speaking of winners, Grant Mastin, cheers.
Yes. Cheers. Thanks for
Welcome
coming
to
on.
our first official student that has
Yes.
been on the Chubbies.
I'm honored.
Yes.
Now that we're the
Yeah,
Chubby
yeah.
guys and not the
Yeah,
Chubby
yeah.
bartenders, it
Yeah,
seems a little
yeah.
bit more fitting.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we had him on here when he
Yes.
pulled the winner for his shoe drive, I think last year.
2 years ago. That was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Hey guys, try thebeardedpup.com. Some of the best men's grooming products available on the market. I'll tell you, I have been a big fan of men's grooming products my entire life. And his post-shave balm is the best that I have ever used in my 48 years. Complete facial moisturizer. You can use it on your arms, face, legs, wherever you want. The cologne at thebeardedpup.com will have your wife all over you. Guys, it's real easy. Just go to thebeardedpup.com, pull out your phone. It's really easy. Very interactive website. You can get on there, order a sample pack of any different product that you may want to try. I am here to tell you, this is Chubby Chad endorsed. I think that it is the best products on the market. Beardedpup.com. Get your phone out and go see it.
Yeah, it was.
That was the first year.
I think it was. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Not the first year for your tackles for Tots, but that was the first year that that was 2 years. It was our first year in the building.
Yeah, it was
In
your
the
first
building,
year.
yeah. They gave away a nice bag from River City there, and it was nice, man.
So yeah, we need to talk about tackles for Tots. How many
Yeah.
kids have you helped with that total?
So over the past, I guess we've done for 3 years now. About 600 pairs of shoes have been purchased and donated.
220, 230, something like that.
First year I think was around. It was about 120ish. And then second year it was like a little bit over 200, and then this past year was a little bit closer. I mean, it would be about closer to 300. So
Yeah.
I mean,
so
it's been pretty.
so you actually got better every year with your
it has
tackle
been,
total.
yeah, for sure. It's definitely grown a lot.
And the player got a little better. I mean, more tackles.
More
each year.
tackles.
So more pairs of shoes.
Oh yeah, I guess I didn't really realize that.
Yeah.
I guess.
So Grant, like when we're talking about this, could you tell us a little bit about what tackles for Tots is? I mean, a lot of people might not be familiar with it, or how did you come up with this? And
Sorry about my allergies,
how did it go?
guys.
So Tackles for Tots is an organization I started actually with the help of Pudge here.
I didn't do nothing.
He helped me. Don't let him take.
That was all you.
He helped me get it off the ground. That's for sure. He definitely gave me a lot of support through that. But it's an organization where I donate a pair of shoes for every tackle that I have in a season, or at least that's originally how it started. And then, so as I mentioned, like the first year, I had over about 120-ish tackles. So that's how many shoes we donated, and it kind of worked out perfectly. So
That was your sophomore year, wasn't it?
yes,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
So, and it was a pretty good season that year. Definitely can't complain. And I'm always I say this a lot, but it's something that really I hold true. But and so if you go into our locker room, on the wall there's the words "Win for Jackson."
Yeah.
And ever since my freshman year and into my sophomore, every year I've played, every game I've played, it's something I've always wrote on my wrist because something I've held near and dear to my heart. I'm a big person of, you have to have your why, right? So you have to have your why in anything that you do. And I just know how great this community is and how much it supported me. So that was kind of my why. And you can fulfill that on the field, classroom, wherever it may be, but I saw this as an opportunity to fulfill it within my community and give back. So I went full force with it, and 120 pair of shoes that first year. And then, that's when COVID kind of started hitting, was in our sophomore year. So there was a lot of uncertainties over that summer, and then heading even into our season.
you didn't know if you were going to play or how many games.
Right. like thankfully we were allowed to play, but I mean our season was shortened to I think like 7 or 8 games.
Yeah.
And like I mean that was about half a season of what we normally play.
Yeah.
And I know I was still unsure, and there's a lot of like a lot of people were unsure where they were financially, where they were in their life at that time, but I kind of saw that as like I still need to do this, and I need to try to do as much as I can. So I decided to do 2 pairs of shoes that year, and so I had like 75, 80 tackles that year. I think I did 150, 160 pairs of shoes that year,
Nice.
which I was super. It was super touching to me just seeing how many people like reached out and supported me, even not even just in like community, but in my like in Jackson, but even like through the horse show community and such.
Oh, yeah.
I had people from all over the country like reaching out to me and donating by taking the spots and such. So then I went ahead and I keep doing it, and I'm even working on ways now to keep it going now that I'm graduating.
Okay, cool.
But and then this past year I decided like why not, let's keep it up with 2 pairs. So I had like 120ish tackles again this year. So we did just over like 200 and some pairs of shoes.
Yeah.
And it's definitely been cool, and just getting those distributed, it's super touching to me. So
He gave shoes to all the kids that we had at the tour drive.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, where do you distribute the
That was
shoes?
his list.
Okay,
So he took care of the shoe need.
Oh, very nice.
So on all those
Okay,
kids, so they would fill out if they wanted a pair of shoes. If they did, then we just gave it to Grant.
That's awesome, man.
And I still work with Jaffe on that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's definitely
Because I
kind
got
of
out
cool.
of the toy part, and he kept it going.
Right.
So the last year he did. We didn't work together. He worked just right with Jack.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's definitely been super cool, and the folks with Jaffe, they're great to work with. They're great people, and they're super supportive throughout it too. So it's definitely great. And like I said, there's some players that have come to me and they've wanted to make a difference too. And even if it might be in a different capacity, we're still kind of working that out and ironing out the details. But definitely look forward to. Looking forward to a different kind of project coming.
Well,
Coming.
you know
soon.
what though, man? That's really cool though. If you leave that legacy where they continue to do that, I mean, that is because it's a great thing.
We had that talk
for
today.
great families. I mean, that's a legacy project, man. I mean, if you started that and you can look back at it in 10 years and they're still doing that, how awesome would that be, man?
Right, and that's what,
and
that's kind of how I look at it too. And like I said, I mean, that's a way to win for Jackson, right?
Sure,
it's more than just playing a game on a Friday night or winning championships and all these different things. Like, there's so many different ways you can do that.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh man, I've always thought that's one reason why Jackson kind of doesn't. What do I want to say? Thrive in certain things is because there's no continuation. It's like once the chairman
leaves.
steps down, it's like they don't go, and it's like man, why does that? I think we could be somewhere.
Yeah, who's going to pick up the torch, right?
Well,
Right.
and not so much that is you have to be working that torch stays burning.
Oh yeah,
Right.
I mean, I think any more with people's schedules, it's just tough. And I mean, you and your mom, my God, you guys' schedule. Jesus, you're about like Reynolds.
It's constant. I think I've been home 2 weekends this whole year.
Man.
So I mean, it's definitely
You've been home 2 weekends this whole year. Now, so you were visiting colleges first. So you're a high school senior. You probably need to tell people.
Right,
that.
I am a high school
senior. You're getting
senior.
ready to graduate.
And about a few weeks.
Dude. You ready, dude? I remember this guy. Whenever I went to the Office Commons, you was that was in 2013, and I think you were that was 8 years ago, so you would have been a
really
fourth
young.
grader. Yeah, third
really
or fourth
young.
grader whenever I got there. And you used to come and just beat on me on the side of the leg and all the time trying to wrestle me. And it's crazy to think that now you're graduating, man.
Yeah.
God, that freaks me out.
It's crazy for me too. And just today, so a lot of our teachers in the past are like, okay, write a letter to your senior self, right? And I got one from 8th grade from Mrs. Wolford's class, and I read it today, and I'm like, I think my 8th grade self would be proud of me right now. Like, I was like, it's kind of wild. It's been 4 years though. Like, it's flown by. Like, it seemed like
that's
yesterday
kind
I
of
was
an awesome
writing
time
it.
capsule there, man.
Right.
To see where your brain was at that time.
I know. It was
probably
really funny.
did one of the best jobs that I've seen out of a kid. Well, you and your mom, but I mean, you had a lot of balance. Like you were full go.
Well, I have to give a lot of credit to my mom.
Yeah,
She's definitely helped me develop that skill of like time management. And like she always told me that it's never like she never made me pick and choose something. Like she said, we can do everything. She's like, I have to like give up some things. Like maybe I don't go work out on a Wednesday, but we can make it here. But like she's always told me I never had to pick and choose. Like where there's a will, there's a way, right? So that's definitely been I've definitely been blessed in that aspect of having a mom that's willing.
That's her way
to
of life,
for sure.
You know, I worked side by side with her there for years, and she gets her done.
She does.
She gets her done, boys. Yep.
I don't know how
she's my
sometimes.
Go-to. I don't either. If it wasn't for, she was one of the key people that helped me, get going. And she has always just been right there. But whatever you need, Melissa will make that happen.
Right.
It's like, hey, if you want something done, give it to a busy person.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
right.
Yeah.
No,
but so you did the horse shows, and like I said, you had that great balance. Like, because up until your sophomore year, you were pretty much in everything sports wise. You were, maybe not spring.
I definitely through middle school and such, I was kind of involved in a lot. And then
were you a 3 sports guy?
I was two through middle school, and then once I got into high school, I backed off. Football was my main focus, and I definitely really dialed into that my freshman and sophomore year.
And horses,
of course. Yeah. Horses have always been important in my life, and they always will be.
And we've got to get to that. But one thing I got to add in the middle of this, talk about balance. Now, you're graduating with honors, correct?
Right. I'm a valedictorian. So.
Yeah. So, talk about time management. He also did it with like a 4.0.
Dude, I saw. Do you remember when I went and I picked you up at practice? Like your mom was busy, and I was like, I'll go get him.
I think that was my sophomore year.
It was.
I want to say that was Berg week because I was dying.
You looked like a wet
and you
rat.
came because I will never forget that week of practice. That might have been the worst game week of practice of my life. And
he looked about like that tripod.
No, I was
with a shirt.
Oh my!
I was down bad,
and that's whenever I said. That's not where I was going with this, but I remember that's whenever I started talking about your eating.
Yeah, no. Right, maybe that was my freshman year.
You had a Gatorade.
I think it was my freshman year actually, because sophomore year I bulked up a lot.
Yeah,
it was definitely my freshman year. Still a bad week of practice.
He had been at Quarter Horse Congress, which not no big deal, largest horse show on the globe.
Yeah,
that I know of. Isn't it?
Yeah, it's the largest single breed horse show in the world. So single breed show. Single breed show.
Mention you were the world champion of that show.
Right, I've won it. I think I've won it 4 times now, and I've been reserved.
So he's there on a Tuesday night till you were probably getting home 1, 2 in the morning.
It kind of depends.
Depends on when you show.
Yeah, like some mornings I would ride at 2 in the morning and come back to school. Some nights I'd just go up. Yeah,
okay. And then he was going, and then he would go to school all day, and then he would have football practice. I remember I'll never forget you standing. You were wearing a dark gray shirt. And you
this is getting really detailed.
It is because I could just remember looking at you thinking, my God, he looks like he's about half dead. Yeah, because
probably.
You were. You guys was hucking and bucking. But you had a Pop-Tart and a Gatorade that day. Is all you had to eat.
There's definitely been a lot of days like that though, or especially like in August, flying. There's been so many flights back and forth between Columbus and Oklahoma City or Tulsa, just balancing out the world shows but still making it to practice and such.
Yeah, if you want to be a world champion, you just don't go show at the fair.
No,
right.
Which I go to world shows.
Which I also have to give Coach Hall a lot of credit, and even Jason Prater too, just for working with me with my schedule and allowing me to do all these things. They've been great to work with.
Very flexible about that.
Paul,
right.
He did a great job with that. A lot of coaches wouldn't have done that.
Right. I know. And a lot of people across within the horse show community have even given props to that. They're like, there's so many, because I remember my mom, she made a post about just how great Coach Hall is to work with and such. I can't remember if it was this past summer or summer before last. And the comments were flooded and the shares were flooded with people like, this is what coaches need to be doing. He was setting the bar.
That tried to do that, they couldn't.
Right.
Probably.
And and I even know with other kids in similar situations that have gone to their coaches and be like, okay, this is what Grant's doing in a way. You know what I mean? And it's definitely been helpful for them too.
Oh, I would say.
Well, I don't see how show me one hindrance that it did on you.
Right. I I mean, if anything, I think it helped me grow more as a person than it
You're
hurt
going
me at
D1,
all.
dude.
Extreme focus, man.
I mean, let's
Extreme
celebrate.
Focus.
You're going D1.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, man. I mean, we'll get into that as well.
but he won the world championship right in the middle of football season.
I got to hear about the horse stuff. Let's start where that started.
Ask away. I know.
I know. Like,
everything
where did this start? How did you get into it? Is this a family passion?
It
is this something that
So like, my mom has always, my family has always been involved with horses.
Okay.
And so I started showing when I was younger, and kind of was always in like the sale bars and such. And one of my uncles, like, he's a horse trader, but it kind of progressed, and we started showing, and then we ended up with a horse trainer in Louisville named Tommy Sheets, or New Albany, Indiana, and he really took me to like the next level, and I mean, I won my first world championship.
What are you showing back in? Are you showing pleasure?
I was showing
Trail.
the pleasure. I was showing the trail. At that time I was doing the all around stuff, like during my small fry career. So like I did the trail,
So
pleasure.
explain
Yeah,
what
small fry. What
explain
is that?
Chad will know nothing of this.
Yeah,
lingo.
okay.
Yeah.
Break it down for him.
So there's different categories in which like you can compete. So the small fry is 9 and under.
Okay.
So that's just like walk and trot, or 10 and under in some places. It just depends. And it goes based off your birthday of January 1. So like say you're 9 January 1, you're 9 that whole year.
Okay.
Right. So like that's like your 9 and under, and then you get to your 13 and under, which is where you walk, trot, and lope. And then so that's 13 and under, and then they have 14 to 18. So your youth career goes up into your 18, and then as soon as you're 19, you cross over into an amateur, and then it just progresses through there. But then there's also like open divisions too, so that's where the trainers will show, and the amateur. And then there's like select, which that's older people that are showing. So
Silver sneakers.
When did you win? Yeah. When did you win your first world championship?
I want to say
4th grade, 5th grade.
I want to say it was somewhere like around like 2012-ish in that area.
Okay.
I can't remember
3rd, 4th?
exactly off the top of my head. It was pretty early on. I won my first world
How old were you?
championship.
8, 9.
I was really young. It was on Slow Lope and Louis. I know that.
Yeah.
So he was a pretty special horse, and he definitely made it. Like, he definitely is one of those horses that really propelled my career. I definitely was blessed with a lot of great horses before then, but he was one that was like really special. And then so I won. So I won my first big my big first show that like I won really was the Dixie Nationals, when it used to be like huge. I mean, I think there's like 6 splits of the small fry pleasure. Like, it was humongous. But and then so I won my first world championship, and since then I've won, I don't even know how many reserve and world championships, but it's definitely been great experience. I have a great horse right now that, I mean, he's super special.
What's
and,
his name, Gus?
Carl.
Carl.
Yeah.
Sweet name.
Yeah.
He's but yeah, he's a great horse. His name show name's Handmade Machine, but I mean, I've won 4 world championships on him, I think. I've won the Congress twice on him, been reserve a few times on him at the Congress, been reserve a few times at the World Show, maybe 5 times with him. And then like he's won the open trail at this, like the senior trail at the NSBA World, was 3rd in the senior trail at the AQHA World.
This guy has won so many times that he can't even remember how many wins he's got.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, he's talking about the horse.
Well, I'm just talking about the horse too. But it's definitely been a special career. Like, I can't
for both of you.
But I've had a lot of great mentors, great horse trainers in all aspects that have developed me, not only as a horseman or as a showman, but also as a person. And definitely a lot of the things that I've learned have carried over throughout my life. Like, for example, with the trail, just the way you have to calculate a plan. Like, it's no different than if you're sitting in a room watching your film, getting ready for a football game.
Yeah, right.
So it's just like you learn how to think ahead, if that makes sense, but be in the moment. So like in the trail, like you have to stay in that obstacle, but you can't think ahead to the but you have to be thinking ahead to the next obstacle while still being in there. So it's no different than being like, fourth and goal.
Translates very well, doesn't it?
Yeah, with the game on the line.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, okay, they could be doing this, but I have to watch for this. That that kind of situation. You definitely you have to be present, but you have to think ahead. And I definitely think it's helped me tremendously on the football field because it's giving me that mental advantage over understanding that quarterback might make that make a little step before he snaps the ball, or that guard is leaning a certain way, or he looks where he's going to pull. Just little hints that people will kind of overlook. Right. But I mean, it'll tell you the whole play.
And you attribute a lot of that to your writing.
I do. I truly do.
The horse world and the sports world are very similar in the fact that the levels.
Right.
If you just stay local, that's where you're going to be.
It's good, but it's not going.
You get up and you start competing at like that level he did. I mean, everybody's dialed in.
Yeah.
They all, they're all 7 days a week, and like we've talked about several times, if you want to be pro.
Oh yeah,
you got to work.
Oh yeah, there ain't any doubt about it.
I mean, you got to work at it.
Yeah, there ain't any doubt about it. So this we're kind of blending all of this together. Successful football career, successful student, successful in the horse realm. Where does the horse realm go now that you graduate, man?
Yeah, I've been wanting to ask you about that because you. So now in this sport, not to cut you off, but in this sport. There is no men's equine scholarships or teams, right?
Right. Well, right. So for like the equine industry, so they have like the Division I, right? And there's a set of schools that's NCAA approved, right? But for NCAA, it's it's women's sport.
Okay. Yeah.
So right.
Probably got that going.
So it's definitely
what is it?
Title IX. It's distribution of money at their level where there's got to be an equal opportunity for female athletes and male athletes as far as scholarship offerings and everything like that.
I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot to the Title IX deal, but so like for the women, it's a women's sports basically. So I mean, for me personally, I'll still always be involved with it. I'm definitely not going to be. Well, I mean
you're going to Fort Worth.
We'll still be having horses go down the road. That's for sure.
Yeah. So you're still gonna own a horse,
right? So we'll my mom and I have already talked about this. We're even kind of planning for the future, but we'll definitely still have horses going down the road. It might be in a different capacity than what we're doing now, or definitely will be. I mean, I won't be able to go show as much. I mean, maybe every now and then, but so definitely still I will always stay involved and For me personally, my role is definitely going to change. So currently I serve as a national director for the American Quarter Horse Youth Association and work with the public policy committee on that. And I've found a great interest. So I found a great interest with that.
Yeah.
And it's definitely driven me to future career goals in a way.
Sure.
So I definitely still want to stay involved with the horse industry, but it might be working with policy or working as an advocate or being a director.
Sure.
in that aspect, if that makes sense what I'm saying.
Right.
Makes a lot of sense.
Right. And I mean, hey, who's to say when you graduate from college or whatever, maybe you get back into showing again.
Right, for sure.
But then it'll be basically you'll be an amateur.
I will be an amateur.
Yeah, you'd step in and then you hit a certain money level and then you turn into what, non-pro?
Well, so there is you do have your non-pros. So non-pros amateur down, and then I mean, there's so many different divisions.
15 and under, 15K.
Well, there's the limited, and I know for the reiners and such, and the cow horse people, it's different than our side of the industry. But I mean, there's still different levels. It depends. If it's a fraternity that you're showing at, where you're showing for money. I mean, can be different variations of that, but I mean, there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's a crazy world, dude.
Oh, it is. It's kind of unreal sometimes.
You ever been to Congress, Chad?
No.
I ought to take you to Quarter Horse Congress.
You need to go one day and just you like
kind of like if you know, right? Like,
you'll see it. I mean, as soon as you
just have to experience
you just have to experience it. And I mean, you don't even have to be a horse guy,
right?
I mean, you just,
but you can appreciate it.
Yeah.
And even those horses, they're athletes. Like they're not just a horse that's out in the field. Like,
no,
I mean, the way they get taken care of is so far beyond even how we even take care of our own bodies. I mean, they constantly.
Has Carl ever even seen outside?
I mean, yeah, he gets turned out every day.
Okay,
but he has his own pasture. Like, that type of thing. But
Carl's living a pretty good life.
There's many of them that never see pasture.
It's all relative to who the horse trainer is and what
their
they do.
sport is and how they're moving.
It's just kind of all relative. But I mean, for us, I mean, we think it's so important to still let them be a horse. Like, I mean, they need grass and they need the sunshine and they need to be out because I mean that's what keeps them happy. And they're not going to perform if they're not happy. Like, they're not going to love doing their jobs. And I can say with Ryan and Mandy, I mean, all of their horses love performing and. I mean, when it's show day, I mean, they're locked in. But they know when it's time to be a horse, but they also know when it's time to be serious too. Yeah. So,
well, what is the average career span of a horse?
It varies. It just depends on the horse. And
the horses are weird. It's like if they live past 22, they're probably going to live to be 34.
Their longevity just
I don't mean
varies.
like direct numbers, but it's
you're just
that's pretty good.
So, 22 is kind of like is that like the average lifespan of a horse?
I mean, it just varies per horse. I mean, and it just it really
years old or 30.
Yeah, I mean they're animals at the end of the day. Still, I mean, you can't control. I mean, how long they live, and there's so many different factors that go into it. But I mean, there's horses that are living until they're, late into the 30s. But I mean, there's some that unfortunately pass when they're yearlings. Like, it just is all, it's all relative.
That's got to be the toughest part of the business.
The bloodlines are everything. I mean, it's just. I mean, that not everything. I mean, you got to have a good trainer. You got
sure.
You have. I mean, everything
but
has to be worked.
You got to start with a good bloodline, probably.
Yeah, I mean that's just whenever you start competing at that high level, you're starting to see a lot of familiar names.
I mean, yes, but I mean, a great horse is a great horse.
I don't want to discredit one that doesn't have a last name, but at the same time,
right. I mean,
they're few and far between.
A great horse is a great horse, and there's so many new sires that are on the rise that are definitely going to be great producers. And I mean, they're currently out showing and getting their name out there, but I mean, they're going to have some great babies. So it'll be interesting to see how the industry progresses throughout the years. Cause I mean, even for me, just in my, short span, that's relative to, others around me.
Right.
I mean, it's changed tremendously. So, I mean, just from the way you show them to the way you prepare them to the way you take care of them. I mean,
the look, everything,
everything just changes so much. And I mean, that's also what I like about the industry, though, is that everything is constantly changing. Like, you never for me personally, I'm never burnt out on it because there's always something to get better at. There's always something to that you may want to change, or there might be something you want to keep, and you just keep constantly building. Like, no matter where you are. I mean, you could come straight off of a world championship and you could look at that run and be like, well, I could have fixed those trot maneuvers, or maybe I could have put him in a better spot here. And you just, that's true for life though.
Oh yeah, sure.
I mean, you could go win the Super Bowl and you go watch film and there'd be 20 different things that you have to fix, right? But but you still won the Super Bowl. So I mean, that's how it is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so I definitely think that's another way that the horses correlate with life. And just competing on that stage in front of a wide variety of people. I mean, you have so many people that tune into live streams and they're just there and such, and you're competing on a high level. I mean, when I'm playing an alumni on a Friday night and it's sold out, I mean, you get excited for those things. You don't start worrying. Like, you get really pumped up.
Right,
and I think in some people that don't really necessarily are constantly in that environment, I mean, they might look and be like, there's so many people here. Yeah. But I mean, but when I walk out there, I'm like, I'm inviting it in a way. You know what I mean? Like,
you fed off of it.
I'm inviting that energy to come in.
Yeah.
You'd go down the hallway at the office and you could just hear his mom, she would usually have a live stream going of a horse show all the time. You know, it's a huge.
It's
industry.
a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm on my way out of it, I believe, but I wish you really enjoy it. So you need to keep doing it.
I love it.
Yeah, and you and your mom do it together, and I'm staying in it with my dad. You know, but
and there's so many different aspects of it, and I don't think people realize that. Even like, so just because you're showing doesn't mean you're not involved. Like, there's so many different ways. I mean, even just with AQHA alone, with the racing experiences that people can have, or the horseback riding opportunities, like there's so many, or the ranch horse stuff. Like, there's so many different areas where people can become involved. And like, you don't even realize that you're involved until you're like fully fledged into it. You know what I mean?
How many of your peers in the horse business, I've never asked you this, do you think are like high school? I mean, especially these high schools, or high school athletes?
I mean, it kind of varies, because some, like,
how many did you show against at the World? How many kids were in your class at the World show?
So for the trail, there's over like 120 or something like that. I mean,
okay, so out of 120, how many of those kids are into athletics?
Okay, so this is a question you really have to look at, though, because for a lot of those girls, that is their sport. I mean, that's what they're going to college for.
Yeah,
that's what they're getting a scholarship for. That's what they're getting paid for.
Boys.
I mean, it kind of varies in that way. I mean, some are going to go on and go be horse trainers. Some might go on and be doctors. Some might go be a lawyer.
Veterinarian, whatever.
It just, like, it varies. So I don't know that there's a set number that you can just say.
I'm
because
just saying, if you had to guess, like, how many of them are doing what you're doing?
I mean,
because Chad and I being the reason I'm asking you this, our kids, and there's always this thing, that there's so many options for these kids. Yeah. Well, you're the only one that I've ever seen that's been able to do them both.